Devotional Monday 25th of January. My sister-in-law and her husband live about 10 miles north of the city of Aberdeen in Scotland. We've travelled there quite a few times, but one of the journeys stands out in my mind especially. I think it was back in about 1994. At that stage, we had 3 children, all under the age of 7, and so we set off on that long journey. Having landed at Cairnryan, it was still a 5.5-hour drive to our destination. The journey went reasonably well to begin with. I did the driving to start with, and then in the outskirts of Glasgow we changed driver, and Judith continued to drive as I was tasked with looking after the kids and keeping them occupied in the back seat. I had an endless supply of stories and cassette tapes, and so I was tasked with entertaining them. As we skirted around the city of Perth, I was asked by Judith which road should we take, and I definitively gave the direction in which we should travel. About 20 minutes later, I looked up to discover there was a signpost for Edinburgh. I suddenly realised that we were actually on the wrong road. There was no point in arguing, because I was the one who gave the wrong directions. What was a 5.5-hour journey was now a 6.5-hour journey down to my mistake. Oh, if only we'd sat-nav in those days. And of course, life's a bit like that too. We are looking for guidance, aren't we? We think of the words of the psalmist who writes, "He guides me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake," Psalm 23 and the second part of verse 3. The Hebrew word translated paths here means a well-defined, well-worn trail. And it indicates how stupid sheep are, because even when the trail is well laid out, they still need a shepherd. They're still inclined to wander away, no matter how obvious the path might well be. The shepherd knows the trails. He has been there before, and the sheep trust him. I think the most anxiety-producing factor in the world today is uncertainty about the future. What is going to happen tomorrow and the next day? There are decisions we must make that bear not only upon our own lives, but also upon the lives of everyone with whom we are associated. My life touches my family. My life touches others I have connection with. We are constantly making decisions. How do we know we are making the right ones? Decisions can be crucial and also frustrating. There is the old classic story told about a man undergoing basic training in the army. He was assigned some mess duties and was given the assignment of sorting potatoes. There was a huge mound of them, and the mess sergeant told him to put all the bad ones in one bin and all the good ones in the other. He came back about 2 hours later to find the man just looking at one potato. There was nothing in the bins. The sergeant said, "What's the matter? Don't you like the work?" And the soldier said, "It's not the work, it's the decisions that are killing me." And we often feel that way. We have countless decisions to make day after day, which touch the lives of our children, our wives and our husbands, and we need wisdom. We need a shepherd. We need someone who knows the trails, someone we can trust. We all need a decisive word from someone who knows the way. And the Lord is the one who knows the way. But the question arises, how can I discover his will for my life? Well, perhaps there's a couple of steps we ought to take. First of all, submit wholeheartedly to the leadership of the shepherd. That is the basic attitude we must maintain. Unless we are willing to admit that we don't know the way through the wilderness and submit to his leadership, we will never find the way. And secondly, we must do is obey him. Obey what we know to be God's will for us. Most of God's will is already revealed in his word. We have to begin by obeying the truth that we have. And as we spend time praying and waiting upon God, there comes this sense of peace and inner conviction about the correctness of a certain direction. Thank God that he guides in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake.